Relevant Recruiter Group, happy Wednesday to you. Thank you for joining me. I've got a great guest with me today. I'm joined with one of my clients, one of my students, one of my friends, Eric Harrison from Moonrise. Eric, thank you so much for joining me and hanging out today, man.
Glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
You got it, man. For those of you that are here with us live, if you can give us a like, a thumbs up, a what's up, a hi, anything that lets us know that you're here listening to us. And our audio is good to go right now. And I'm going to get myself ready on my end here and we'll get driving in. So Eric, before we get started, where are you located right now, man? If you could share with
everyone. We started our company Moonrise in Chicagoland. And when coronavirus hit, we all went fully remote. And so my wife and I said, hey, now's the best possible time. We moved to Georgia in June and we've started raising chickens, and we got 2 pigs and some little piglets that just born a few months ago. So we're nice. Living the homestead life.
Beautiful. So that's got to be an apple and an orange compared to Chicago there.
Yeah, 100%. It's a complete 180 from what we're used to, but it's been fun. Our chickens are making like 8 eggs a day, so I'm a little tired of eggs.
Oh, so you're ready to get off the grid here. You can.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool, man. That's awesome. So, let's dive into your journey. I mean, how did you get into the staffing and recruiting industry?
Oh, it's a bit of a circuitous tale. I've actually been a professional software engineer for 20 plus years. I've really spent the entirety of my career building products, building tools to automate things that suck in everyone else's day job. That's really my specialty. Mm-hmm. And so about 4 years ago, American Family Insurance has an innovation department, and they were exploring ways to just help their customers be more successful. And one of the things that we did as a part of that research, we went and did interviews in their homes. And we said, hey, what is it that we can do to help you feel more comfortable and to live your dreams? And the thing that came up time and time again is, I already have a good job, but I just have no extra way to make $40, $50, $60. And so we thought that was a really interesting concept. And they brought me in to prototype some things. And what we came up with was really an evolution of the gig economy, which was basically a temp staffing agency that lets you work on your terms. And we thought if we could automate the matching, automate the payroll, automate some of the customer service things, we could have a really compelling product that let people earn money on their terms. And so we spent 6 months, about a year or so building that product. We launched it in 2017 in Chicago market, and we've just been chugging along ever since.
Beautiful. So the majority of your business originally was started in kind of that temp staffing space, any specific industry or,
Yeah, we really thought our sweet spot, especially in the early days, was any type of job that you could be trained on in 10, 15 minutes. Because every day our clients would push a button on our platform and they'd get a worker. And that worker might be a different worker every day. If they just need labor, some of the things we were really good at was like moving furniture, light industrial warehouse, pick and pack type jobs. One of our big customers is a major car rental agency. And so they were just moving vehicles from one location to the next. Real simple work. Mm-hmm. They just need the people, and it's hard to recruit and find those people. One of our things that we always prided ourselves on was being really good for surges of demand. So, Christmas and holiday time, when you need an extra 50 people, you don't want to hire those people. But if you can use our service to just automatically provide the labor force, that was one of the things we really excelled at.
Right. I think that's a really innovative idea that you guys have come up with here in the gig economy, and kind of there's so much opportunity to modernize these types of approaches. And that's so cool that you're forward thinking. I mean, what were some of the challenges that you kind of faced as you rolled out going, into this temp space and stuff like that?
We would need 3 or 4 hours to talk about all the challenges we faced. But, some of the interesting things, the payroll process itself was really painful. Traditional payroll vendors are kind of set up on the weekly pay cycle or the biweekly pay cycle, where they're expecting you to have 20 employees. You upload here's what to pay them this week. We might have 600 different employees working in any given week, and that would be random and week to week. We had to find, we went through actually 2 different payroll vendors trying to find one that could even handle a daily pay type of concept, where they would calculate the taxes on individual shifts. That was one of our big challenges. And when we finally got that sorted out, then our next task was, well, if we got 200 shifts going on, we're going to have full-time payroll people. So we had to build software to fully automate that process. And we were really successful there as well.
Wow, that's awesome. Now, how do you guys support on, I know you talked about the temp hire, but what do you guys do with kind of the direct hire stuff? You guys dabble in there too?
Yeah, that's actually one of our new types of things we're going after. We spent 2 years solidifying our offering on the temp hires, the temp staffing space. But one of the things that came up as a objection to our sales was like, hey, we have a little bit more complicated jobs. We can't have a new person every single day. Can we have the same person 5 days a week? Mm-hmm. And we thought, well, our system theoretically can support that. It's just different than how we've been marketing ourselves and selling our product to our customers. So we made some engineering tweaks. We made it so the system could offer blocks of shifts to people. And that was really well received. And then the natural evolution of that was, okay, we've had this person working for us for 6 months. Now we want to have them convert to be a full-time employee of ours. So we made that a possibility as well. And then we had some customers that we were doing really great work with, light industrial pick and pack type things. And they're like, hey, I need a machinist, right? Something that we wouldn't have had in our pool of workers that we had to go out and source individually. Mm-hmm. We didn't want to keep 30 machinists sitting around without those jobs being available. And so direct hire was really a natural evolution of what we were already doing on the recruiting front. And then it ended up being one of our growth industries, right? Because we make far more money on an individual direct hire placement than we do, doing 1,000 shifts at a $1 or $2 each.
Yep. Are you still able to utilize that platform with the direct hire?
Yeah. So part of the beauty of what we built from day one was we tried to build an end-to-end staffing technology solution. So we use it as an applicant tracking system. It's our communication tool. It handles our onboarding and our paperwork. We automated background checks so that customers that need background check employees, that happens without people having to be involved in the process.
Now, do you sell the staffing solution as a separate thing to other staffing companies or what?
We absolutely do. We're always looking for new customers there. And if anyone wants to talk, I'd be happy to hook you up.
Awesome, man. That's really cool. Really cool. So I know that over the last, this year, obviously there's a lot of things that changed. And I know for you went kind of from being in that engineer position to more on the sales side. I mean, tell us about that.
Yeah, kind of when we got to like year 3 of being this, I was the CTO of Moonrise. We had a really robust engineering team. They're full of people that 10 times smarter than me. And I've been doing this a long time. One of the things that we've always struggled with in our company is the complicated sales process. And so I just kind of had an itch I wanted to scratch. And I said, this is the business we built from day one. I want to see if I can go in there and apply some of my automation love and build a sales process that's repeatable. And so luckily my CEO supports me and she said, go forth and kick some butt. So here we are. Nice. 8 months into that journey and we're starting to make some traction.
Nice. So we started working together, I think, back in August, September? Yep.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
What were you kind of trying to do before our work together? What was kind of your sales process and tactics and stuff?
Yeah, to be brutally frank, we didn't really have much of one. We had hired a bunch of individual sales reps and they were all kind of going off on their own in the industries that they were comfortable with. We had kind of a disjointed, it wasn't even really a process. It was just a bunch of individuals working on their own. And I'm a big process guy. That's kind of my engineering background, brings that to the table. And so I thought, hey, we need to at least get everyone rowing in the same direction. I kind of looked on the market and I evaluated a bunch of different things. And I said, it would make more sense rather than us trying to build this ourselves to just inherit a really well-built sales process. And that was kind of how we came across you.
Awesome. And I know, for you, the way we implemented this, you didn't just implement this yourself. You implemented it for your team as well.
Yep.
How was that going through that? Like when you were trying to, like, how did you end up rolling that out to the team? Did you learn it or did you have them going through the program kind of similarly? How'd that work for you?
Yeah, we pretty much did it exactly at the same time. I think I was maybe a week ahead of them on everything. So I busted through module 1 while they were, while I was evaluating the program and then had them follow along kind of the week later. Really the idea there was just, so I need to know what I'm asking them to do.
Right.
And then, be able to help and provide mentorship whenever possible.
Right. And
that worked out great for us. We've had a lot of success there.
Got it. One of the things we work on in the program is kind of standing out and positioning. Were you able to notice any effect, with the tweaks that you made once we kind of went through that module?
Yeah, we've had excellent success almost from day one. First and foremost, getting everyone aligned on the same process. So we're all speaking the same language. We're all doing the same techniques. I think a lot of your program is really designed and geared towards like having individual success so that the voice of the individuals doing the sale really comes through. But we've seen, certain people on our team will try one technique that you propose and have outstanding success, and they won't have as much success with another individual. But we've been able to work together as a team to like coordinate and find the strategies and techniques that work best in the vertical we're talking to, and in the, even vertical to vertical. Some of the techniques have to change and have to be tweaked. And we've the fact that your program, you approach it week to week as like, we're going to try some things, we're going to experiment and then tweak, right? And that has been valuable to us.
Awesome. Yeah. And I think you bring up a great point, and it's strange, right? Like how you look at somebody, it's a very similar market, very similar messaging, and you can go here and get completely different results. And that's awesome that you guys have been able to, understand that, because so many people come through the program and aren't willing to tweak and test. Did you find some resistance from some of your team as you guys were going out and doing that?
I think initially, for sure, we had some people on our team that were very senior salespeople, and they're like, I know what I'm doing already.
Right.
But the results that they were chugging after were not matching up with expectations. So once others on the team that were kind of embracing the program a little bit more wholeheartedly had some success, everyone's on board now, for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. And I know, one of the biggest things, I know you haven't really fully implemented everything yet. I know the main success ultimately, from my understanding, is just through the LinkedIn lead machine part, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We wanted to just really understand what we were trying to do as a part of our sales process. And we had so much success in that early bit. We haven't even had to graduate and move on to the more complicated stuff yet. Right now we're picking the easy fruit off the tree, so to speak.
Right. That's awesome. What kind of challenges do you guys have when you rolled that out, going back into the testing? Some of those people, did you find some success with some home runs right away, or did you have to test all of them? I mean, what was that process like for you guys?
I think some of our biggest success, or some of our biggest challenges, was just that a lot of people on the team were coming from such vastly different starting points. So one of my most successful team members had like 8,000 connections on LinkedIn already. And so they were coming from a massive network where, some of the automation tools you talk about really kicked us into high gear from day one. Other people on our team had just set up their LinkedIn account, and so they had like 30 connections. Right. And so it was a little bit slower to even get them built up. That was probably our biggest struggle. And it's something we evaluate now when we're looking at new hires. I say, what's the size of your LinkedIn network to begin with?
Right. What can we leverage here?
Yep.
What did you, obviously with the whole LinkedIn approach, there's a lot of, kind of stigma around LinkedIn and messaging and it being spammy and things like that. I mean, what do you have to speak on that now that you've implemented this type of an approach?
Yeah, I've been, for the vast majority of my career, sitting on the other side as a hiring manager of engineers. So I get bombarded on a daily basis from, hey, I'm a recruiter and I just want to connect. As the hiring manager, you quickly get frustrated with like the very generic feeling of those types of connection outreaches. And so one of the things that I've loved and truly appreciated about your program is you try to keep it very conversational. And so we've implemented that completely. We don't do any hard pushes. We don't do any sales pitching in our LinkedIn messaging. It's just, hey, my name's Eric. We're in the same space. Please, I'd love to connect, right? And leave it at that. And most of the time we end up getting higher response rates, people starting conversations, and they're like, hey, I see on your website, you're kind of in the same space. Like, you want to talk? Yes, absolutely.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, the positioning that you guys have created and done for the profiles. And the other thing I thought was really interesting that I really applaud you and your team for doing is, we obviously do those a little bit of video, and I was pretty amazed, quite honestly, man, that you were able to get all of your team to do a LinkedIn welcome video. I don't know how many of them actually put it out on the platform, but there were definitely some good ones too. Yeah. What was the resistance level once you got to a little bit of the content part there?
I think the majority of the team, obviously, when you're posting your video for the first time, you've probably heard all these same objections like, I don't feel like it represents me. I don't like the quality. I don't sound good on camera when I'm speaking. Yep. None of that matters. And you know it, and you've said it to us a bunch of times. Like, all that matters is just getting out there. And that's kind of how I positioned it to the team. I'm like, hey, right now we're not having sales success. This is a technique to try. Just give it a shot. And once people overcome that fear and that initial resistance, they seem to be happy.
Yeah. And we've got in the program, we have what's called like a LinkedIn welcome video that we send. And that's what we're talking about. I mean, did anybody see any direct results from just that video itself, or people because that's one of the things we obviously test. Some people hit a home run with video. Some people we end up just going with traditional messaging. Anything on that?
We had a lot of shares and likes and comments that generated from it. I don't know if we even tracked it closely enough to say there was a direct correlation to a sales success to those posts. But, I view it long term as we're creating this giant funnel of content, and the more stuff we're putting out there, eventually the long tail of this is that we'll start capturing more valuable leads. So I don't need to see success on each individual thing. I just need to see that I need our customers to see that we're just going to continue to put value into the world, and you can trust us with your business.
Right. Going into that, I know we haven't really gone super deep into the content part yet, but what are you kind of looking forward to on that side of things of, getting do you plan on doing that mainly you being the voice, or are you still going to try to use some of the sales team and encourage them to do that? I mean, what's your strategy there?
Yeah, it's a bit of a lot of things. I think coming to this as a part of a larger company, we have a data scientist who's always doing data analytics for us. We put out reports a couple times a year, letting you know, like, hey, if you're paying at this pay rate in this market, you're going to do poorly. We value content creation. And I think we're going to make a big push for that in 2021. We kind of had to pause a lot of things in 2020 just because of the coronavirus stuff. But, I'm a big believer in content. I love to write. I love everyone on our team to write. And so, that's going to be one of our big focuses.
Yeah. It's kind of funny how, with this type of a newer strategy, it's like almost when you're evaluating talent, it's like sales / being okay with a little bit of internet marketing and putting themselves out there, because there's a lot of salespeople that aren't there yet or comfortable with that yet.
Yep. And I think it's easy to evaluate too, right? Because from a sales perspective, the people on the team that are putting in the effort, they're reaping the rewards through sales, contracts, orders. And the people that aren't, it's just easy to see. The requirements aren't being met.
Right. What was, kind of going into the program, and now that you've been through the initial 90 days, you're in the mastermind now. I mean, what was kind of the biggest surprise for you going through the program?
I think the biggest surprise was just how easy it was to get started. You really lay things out and structure it in a way that makes it very clear to go from point A of zero sales process to point B, where things are automated in a way where we're able to see some early wins. I believe that it's a lot simpler than a lot of people fear. It just takes a little bit of work and a little bit of effort, and you just have to dive in.
Yeah.
Getting to results quickly was a big surprise.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's awesome. How was, what would you say would be kind of the biggest challenge that you've been through this?
I think some of the biggest challenges is because we were starting from scratch. We had to create all the content. Module 1, where you're talking about a lot of content production. What does your brand look like? What is the value you're putting into the world? We had to create a lot of that from scratch. And it would have been nicer to have already had a lot of that in place, so that we'd be able to move a little faster. But just content creation is probably the biggest challenge.
Right. You brought up a good point. It's something that comes up a lot, is like, can I do this? I'm a recruiter or I'm, an engineer in the recruiting industry, this all sounds good. And I like the idea of that, Donnie, but like, I don't know if I have the time. I mean, what would you say to somebody that's kind of thinking that way?
Yeah, that's great. I mean, so everyone's got the same amount of hours in the day, and we were spending a lot of time on things that weren't working. So I will happily stop doing things that aren't working and spend time on things that do.
Right. And that's awesome that you were able to see that success right away, pretty much. Once you guys started going out. I remember the first time I reached out and said, hey, how are things going? And you told me what the results were like. I'm like, whoa, okay, so things are going good. That's awesome. Good for you, man. I mean, what would any advice you'd give anybody that's thinking about, joining the program?
Yeah, just do it. Do it as fast as you can, because the longer you wait, the longer it's going to take for you to see results. Everybody's results are obviously going to be different. We started to see pretty massive success within the first month, and I wish we'd seen your advertisements for years and at least a year. I'd been following you kind of half-heartedly. If we started earlier, we'd be much further along. Yeah,
awesome, man. In general, I mean, what are you excited for in your business? Like, what are you most excited for in the next steps? And obviously, first off, let's get out of 2020. Let's get ourselves into 2021.
Yep.
But what are you kind of fired up about with that?
Yeah, I'm really excited about taking things to the next level. We have a pretty big team, which is kind of unique to us, I think, in the way we're structured. We have software engineers on our team that can help us even automate things even more. And so having the framework and structure in place that you helped provide us, I'm already seeing potential things in the future where we can automate things even more,
Right.
get customers to self-sign up, place their orders without anyone being involved, that sort of thing. Really gets me
Right.
fired up.
That's awesome, man. And you're the being an engineer and and an automation guy yourself, your eyes must have lit up once you went through that thing.
Yeah, it's perfect. I'd kind of known that these things were available. Some of these tools were at our fingertips, but I think it helps to have a guru guide you through like the initial, just say like, here's the framework where you're going to work in. And it kind of puts like the bumpers in bowling where it's like, just throw the ball down the lane. You're going to hit some pins, right?
Right. Right. And one of the things going into that like framework there, how much of your messaging is probably not even word for word what my templates are. You've probably taken my templates and then made them dial them in for yourself, I would imagine.
Yeah, we've done a lot of tweaking on that. So I think everybody starts from your templates, and they're a good starting point because it gets you to like the how, what, why, where, and when, right?
Right.
And then everybody puts their own type of spin on things. Even on my team, everyone's got wildly different messages that are working based on the feedback we've seen in the market. And the way you talk to a hiring manager at a warehouse is different than the way you talk to a hiring manager at a tech startup, right? It's just, they're looking for different type of words. So tweaking is crucial here.
Yeah, no, and you bring up a good point. I think that's where most people see the biggest success is when they kind of take the framework that I build and then kind of make it their own like you guys have. And that's where the explosion happens, because even though we're leveraging these technology, like I'm just a big believer, like when it's you that's coming out and not a script that's coming out, people really grab to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, thanks for hanging out with me today and chatting and sharing your experience. For those of you who are listening, we've had the promo going on. You'll see a webinar replay coming up here. I did a training last night. We've got a very special Christmas offer that we've got going on right now. So if you're considering joining the program, now is definitely the time. I'll drop a link in the comments below. Make sure to watch that training, check out the offer, and see if you want to book a time with me. That offer will expire on Friday. I've never actually done anything like this before where I have a Christmas special, but it's 2020 and we're doing things different and we're trying to give out there. So Eric, I appreciate you being here with me today, sharing your experience. If you could leave people with one last piece of advice, what would that be?
Never stop experimenting. Stuff that works 6 months ago stops working. Try something new, right? Don't get tunnel vision and keep plugging away at things that you think are the right way to go.
Perfect, man. I love that. I love it, man. Thanks again for being here. Relevant Recruiter Group. Thanks for hanging out with us, watching live. You will see me next week on Wednesday. We'll do one more training before the end of the year. Until then, have a great time. Make sure you check out that training in the comments below, and we'll talk to everybody soon.